important. Ghana is becoming a preferred destination for many African Americans who want to move from the U.S. to settle in another country. Now, as you know, in 2019, the Ghanaian government initiated the Year of Return campaign, calling on Africans in the diaspora to return home. Many Africans took up that call to action as the U.S. continues to be confronted with its history of racism and police brutality against blacks. Many people of African descent living in the U.S. are making the decision to move to Ghana. And just a few days ago, over 120 more of them have been granted Ghanaian citizenship. Tonight, I speak to some of them. Yeli Sonsori and Kweku Asantu Maroon Asari are my guests on News Tonight. You're welcome to the program.
Good
to see you.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yes.
I would want to start with you, Yeli. How do you feel being a Ghanaian citizen finally?
It feels like being hugged by your mother after a long and very difficult journey, which it has been for us. So I feel very fulfilled. I feel like I'm fulfilling the destiny of my ancestors because my father, before he transitioned in 2009, wanted to come to Africa. My great-grandfather has never been here, so I'm the pioneer of my family to come. So it's very fulfilling and centering to be a Ghanaian. And I've always known I was an African. So to me, this is nothing new. But now to just I've always known that I've been a black person, that I came from a culture of people that had great history. So now it's just the official government stamp that allows us to move forward, and it's a step in the healing process for us to be welcomed back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you shortly because I have more questions for you. But how do you feel about it, Maroon?
Well, first I like to say, officia po, officia pa. Me a Ghananese sissy, you know, so for me to be able to say I'm Ghanaian, you know, even to speak like I have an accent coming from the U.S. And then restoring my history. This is salvation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Salvation. What am I salvaging? I'm salvaging that atrocity that happened to my ancestors when they was enslaved. They wasn't slaves. They was enslaved. They were taken from the land and say never to return. And it changed the course of my history. Now my history has been restored and been salvaged.
Okay.
But now I got my citizenship.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Congratulations to both of you.
Yes.
But how would you describe the process? Because I know it's quite laborious going through the process. How was it for you?
Well, the process is definitely you don't know when and you don't know if it's going to happen.
Right.
So it's not a guarantee. You come here taking a chance, hoping that the government would make a pathway for us, because we do come here.
And that's you on TV, you know, receiving, officially becoming a citizen of Ghana.
Me and my mother.
Yeah, you and your mother. Yeah, you and your mother.
So for us, it's a correction in history, but even more so, it allow us to be birthrights, to operate in the birthright of a African or a Ghanaian, where we can open business, where we can travel freely, where we can go to other African countries without necessarily going through the visa process. So it's not just the fact that we're getting citizenship, but we're getting privileges and rights that are being restored to us, which is what we need, because we don't feel at home in America, but we don't want to come to Africa and feel like we second class either. So we want to come back home and we want to be restored as who we are.
Okay. A lot later in the program we'll talk about the integration, but is it my understanding that both of you have relinquished your American citizenship? Is that what it is?
No.
It's a dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship.
It's a dual citizenship, and the reason why I haven't relinquished my citizenship but see, let's talk about power. I have the power to relinquish my citizenship if I feel it's the best thing to do. But I do have family there. I do have Social Security. I have certain things that I've been that been put into, and I can benefit from, that can benefit Africa.
Okay, is that the same reason for you, Yeliani?
Yeah, I would say the same thing too. I have family back in the U.S., and I think it's important for us to be able to still be able to work with our people there, be able to do business between the U.S. and Africa as well. To have that ability to do that is really going to help us push our personal endeavors forward to help build Africa, because that's what I was going to. It's also like a mutual beneficial relationship. It's not just about coming here with our hands open and wanting Africa to give us something. We also have to have both of our hands up and be willing to work.
We're contributing,
and to contribute
and build Africa.
And to build. It's not just about. So I think for me, as much as I'm getting restored, and I always tell people, like, I feel like I'm always arriving to Ghana every day.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned from the beginning that you've always thought that your roots are in Africa.
Yes.
Now, my question is, there are so many African countries out there.
Yes.
Why did you settle on Ghana? What's so special about Ghana?
It actually was a spiritual calling for me. I was in Tanzania at the time working on a project, and I felt a calling, like something kept telling me spiritually, come to Ghana. And I don't know why, but I said, I'm not going to ignore a spiritual call while I'm on the continent. So I came over, and I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with a beautiful
human being.
with a beautiful man, and we have a daughter together now.
Absolutely.
And so that has been a very important part of the process for me too. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, for me, I did a genetics test, which was 23andMe, and it showed that I had genetics roots tied to Ghana and Nigeria and just West Africa in general. Now, when I did the research, Ghana gave an initiative or made a push for the people of the diaspora to come home. So that made it more appealing for me to come here versus Nigeria, Sierra Leone, these other places. And Ghana is one of the safer places to be. So when I started doing the research and I started looking at, when you hear it in my name, Maroon comes from my Jamaican side of the family that fought slavery, was in the mountain, and those people had tree-speaking names, Kojo, Nani, Kofi, those names. So make a long story short, my grandma, to me, if you see my grandma, which is a Maroon, I promise you'll think she's from Tutu. Wow. If you see the people in Tutu and you see my grandma, I would say that my grandma is definitely from the eastern region.
Yeah, that's
you get what I mean?
It's similar for me. I even did a maternal ancestral. My brother did it actually, and we come from the same maternal line. And so, like a month or so, even before we got citizenship, he called me like, "Hey, do you know anything about the Akan?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm actually living in the region where they are." And he was like, "They said," we took a test through AfricanAncestry.com, and it showed us that we come from the Akan people of Ghana. So to me, that was like, just a very important moment, just to know where you come from, because of course we know we're African, but it's also to be able to connect yourself to a people and to a language and to a lineage. It's special. So it was like,
Ghana is home.
Yes,
essentially
home.
Yeah,
but I've also heard from other migrants who say that Ghana is too expensive to live in, more expensive than they thought actually.
Yeah.
What's your take on the state of the economy?
I definitely think there's some places where they can be improvement and more. This is what I think we can contribute also as Africans coming back to the continent, is being able to get industry. We need more industry in Africa, just manufacturing, and it's terrible for me to come and see that our continent is importing so many things from their former oppressors. So I think the more that we start to be able to manufacture our own products and be able to buy black as much as possible, and whatever we could, and circulate it,
instead of it
black,
goes out.
Kantanka support. We have a Kantanka, so it's like support what is built here in Africa as much as you can, and then we can be able to see some progress. But I definitely think it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah, and you are an entrepreneur. You are exporting Ghana-made products to the U.S.
Yes.
How has the experience been for you? And also, while at that, you tell us what you think about the state of the economy.
Well, I'll call it African culture continuity, meaning I find a way to bring African culture and connect it with the other people all over the world that are African, so they can have a connection to their roots and their heritage. So that's my business as of now. But now I'm also, now that I got my citizenship, now I'm headed into doing business in Ghana, not just business abroad. So I'll be opening up, I'll be manufacturing, I'll be doing
that's what we need.
Water, I'll be doing food industry, I'll be going into drinks and stuff like that, manufacturing those things, which would also create industry, create jobs, and also find a way to circulate the money. And so for me, when I think about the economy, I think they did make a blunder when they went to the IMF, because, you know, I was all for Ghana Beyond Aid. You know, that was a big campaign.
No, but this is a country that has seen a lot of downgrades from rating agencies. This is a country that has been grappling with its currency. This is a country whose inflation is over 50%.
Yes, it's true.
How, from where you sit, and from your point of view, how were you expecting them to come out of the woods without going to the IMF?
Oh, most definitely. Well, this the first thing. You have to shut your borders. And then you have to find a way to keep the money in, because if it's a bucket and you're pouring water in the bucket and the cash flow is flowing out of the country, then it's very hard to maintain what you call sustainability. And that's the term that we have to think as a nation. How do we sustain as a nation? And to sustain is to hold. And the first thing we have to do is change our minds. We can't buy foreign. We have to buy local. That's one. Then we have to invest into the industry. We have industries. We have to invest into those industries, because those industries create more industry. They create more business and jobs and stuff like that. We use Kantanka all the time because that's an industry. That's a car industry. If just the Ghanaian made a decision to refuse to buy foreign, no Toyota, no Mercedes, none of that, we're going to buy Kantanka.
We'll make a lot of progress.
Well, that alone would create more. That would create more mechanic shops, more parts department, more service department, more dealerships. That alone, they would have to hire a lot of people to service all the people who are buying that product. That's just one industry.
I mean, those are long-term plans, but I was looking at the immediate, what could be done. But I mean, just to give you a feel of what Maroon has been up to, I told you he is into made in Ghana products. You know, he sends them to the US. Let's take a look at this video of him promoting some of his stuff.
Once upon a time, I felt like I needed to wear Gucci, Louis, Prada, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, all these different white people brands to feel validated or valued. Let me tell you something. Once I learned my history and realized how great my people were and how they created fashion and design and symbols, I realized that all that which I was wearing was stolen. And I ain't needed to wear that to feel valued or validated. Don't just learn your history, baby. Wear it. Kweku Kametu, authentic African custom apparel, baby. This is real value. You don't need to wear no white man label. Have a name, a white man name all across your chest to be validated and have value. We got our own, baby. Support. I'm just trying to show you how to be African, baby. I don't want you to have an identity crisis. I just want to show you how to be African, baby. I'm just trying to show you how to be African. You ain't got to walk around with all this European clothes on. We make our own clothes over here. We make our own shoes. These shoes ain't made in China. These shoes here made on the continent, baby. Everywhere I go, everybody, I promise you, 9 out of 10 people's shoes are made in China. Let me tell you something. My shoes are made in Africa by African. Yes, Kweku Kametu apparel, baby. Get with it. I got some orders going out. I just want to show you how you're going to style when you get ready to step out. I want you to be distinguished, baby. I want you to be different. I want you to be African, baby. Peace out. I got
That was exciting to watch. But I mean, the challenge for me is also that, I mean, this is a country that at the sound of your accent, the price automatically goes up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Yeliani, how have you been dealing with that?
I think that the main thing is you can just be humble. That's my main thing, is be humble and learn the culture. Yes, people will look at you and think, okay, you have a little more money because they think you're from, you know, the States. Or I just try to live locally and speak the language as much as I can. And that's all that really you can do, because people do have that impression of you. And it's unfortunate that they sometimes take advantage of us in that way. But we just kind of have to keep pushing forward and keep talking to them, because sometimes it's just they don't understand what we actually go through in the U.S. So they think we are coming here with hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's not always the case. Some of us are the first in our family to come. Some of us saved up a little bit of money, tried to hustle, you know, do this or that just to be able to come here, and most of us can't because it's very expensive sometimes to fly. So these are the things we just have to educate our brothers and sisters on the continent, that, you know, we're not here to, you know, just be taken advantage of, but we also want to be able to contribute, get to know each other after such a long distance between us. So I just think it's a matter of miscommunication, how history has misinformed us.
But apart from the issue about, I mean, this whole perception that you people have brought a lot of money to lavish around, generally, do you feel treated differently in Ghana?
Oh, yes, definitely. I feel treated differently, like, just in, like, I was telling my compliment the other day, like, one time we were driving and the police stopped us, and I was like, my heart started beating, I'm all scared, you know, like, and then the police would just come in to just say, oh boss, like, where are you headed? And then gave him a pound, and he gave me a, like, pound, and then we just rode off, and I'm like, what? Like, that's very uncommon to go through in the U.S. So I think just there's a sense of security and peace in terms of even how the police treat you. I'm not saying there's no issues at all, but even the people also, the friendliness that you experience. People, it's more community centered. There's been times I go to the salon and my baby's crying and another woman will just grab her and try to, you know, walk her around, you know. Or if you're struggling and on the road, nobody's going to let you suffer alone. Absolutely. But that's how it is in the U.S. at times. You could be suffering in silence and no one's coming to your rescue and seeing that. So I think that's something I love, is the humanity that is still here even after all of the struggle that we have gone through on the continent and for us abroad as well.
Okay. Do you feel treated differently also, particularly based on your accent?
Yes, most definitely. First of all, I got a car. Okay. You know, so that alone would allow people to treat you differently, because the majority of people in Ghana don't have a personal car. Yeah. So the fact that I am American, people would be a little more friendly because they want access. They know that, you know, when you're American, when you're American, you have relationships, you may have funds, because it does take money to travel. And the people in Ghana want to improve their relationships with different people like that. So when they do present themselves to you, they'll bring their better self and they'll present themselves to you. A lot of times they'll come in the sense of honesty and protection, but sometimes even deceit too. There's a lot of people here that are taking advantage of people that are coming from the diaspora too. So you have to know you have to be here long enough to just be able to see who the people that are really genuine versus the people that are out to see if they can chisel off of you. Because Ghana is a place where it's 50-50. There's a lack of loyalty in the culture, and then there's also loyalty in the culture. It's a 50-50. There's people that'll sell you out, and there's people that'll fight for you. And so you just got to you have to find the energy to get the right people in your circle that will be a tight-knit circle, so you don't get exploited, so you don't become have a bad experience like some people. Because some people come here and have an excellent life-changing experience like myself. And then some people come here and I've heard them say, oh, I didn't really have that experience and I don't see myself coming back. So it's a 50-50 thing here.
Lillian, you want to say something?
Yeah. No, I was just listening.
Yeah, but I want to also find out from you, what do you reckon can be done, especially on the part of the government, to create that sort of enabling environment for you to thrive in terms of, you know, your careers, your vision, you know, not just for Ghana, but generally for the continent?
What the government can be able to do?
Yeah, maybe governments, not just in Ghana.
Yeah, I think the main thing is some of what they've already been trying to do, which is making the pathway to citizenship easier for us to be able to come back, to be able to start to set up, you know, just different business avenues for us to start to invest in the economy as well and solicit those funds, because I think that's what we really need to move forward. So some of those things I think would be helpful.
Yeah. And you have a baby now.
Yes.
I'm sure you are thinking of the education system as well.
I do think a lot about the education system.
What are your concerns?
My concerns generally, I would say, are just there needs to be more emphasis on some of the more competitive global skills that, you know, we need to move the country forward. So in science, in math, and engineering, I had a niece that was going to school, and mainly all of her education was like religious education. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to teach your child morality in some capacity, which in whatever way you choose. But I don't think that should be the primary and like such a strong emphasis in the school system, where we're lacking other skills, and they're not getting being able to learn how to use a computer, you know, in this digital age where so many things are going online. So we need to be able to be competitive with the rest of the world and to put ourselves ahead. So I think for me personally, I plan to homeschool my child and do the best I can. But I think one way that Ghana is very strong is in that there's a social education that happens beyond the school system that you can't get that in the U.S. Yeah. You can send your child to to school in the U.S. and they might learn, you know, Africa, the history of Africa started with slavery, and then they're going out into the world as well and seeing these, you know, messages that's trying to tell them that they're inferior. Right. But here, I think there's a stronger sense of a social context where the child learns how to respect your elders, how to be a wife, how to be a mother. And these things are lost attributes sometimes for us when we come here. We have to actually become re-Africanized and assimilate to the African culture to restore our full selves. So I think there's, you know, definitely some issues in terms of the education system, but it balances out in some capacities when you look at the greater context of Ghana as well.
Okay. You are also passionate about sustainability.
Yes.
Because I visited you in your home, yes, deep in the forest.
Yes.
And you are on solar. You have your own farm. And yes, you grow what you eat. You have other, mechanisms that support sustainability.
Yes.
When you look at this country generally, do you reckon that we take the issue of sustainability seriously across the board?
No. I think Ghana has the potential to leapfrog a lot of other countries or continents because they're not established into the old systems of other nations. So, but they have to use these innovations that are available and implement them so that we can leapfrog these other places. Right now, this is where the diaspora needs to come in and collaborate with the people that have already been here. We've both been affected between colonialism and slavery. And so the Ghanaian here just wants to be on a platform where he can be equal to other nations like the U.S. or other non-African nations. Where me, I want to surpass. I want to be the de facto. I don't want to make the Ghana city equal to the dollar. I want us to be stronger than the dollar, right, where we be the de facto, where people around the world is chasing the city. So that's a possible thing. When you think sustainability and you start using all these different innovations and you start going back using a combination of our tradition of Sankofa in conjunction with new things that we would create, we could rewrite history, right, and we can set the pace for the world just like we did a long time ago when Kwame Nkrumah came and fought and became the first independent state of Africa. Absolutely. So this can continue to happen. We can't keep going back and talking about the pyramids of old. We have to build our own pyramids of today, so that people could be able to talk about what we have done too. And the technology is there for us to be completely sustainable to the point that we don't even necessarily need money. We can be a resource-based economy because we have all the resources to do whatever is necessary. Right. So these are things we haven't even thought about. These are the things we have to start talking about. These are the things we have to start learning. Like I said, most of the schools here, the kids are being raised by a colonial oppressor. You go to the school, it's Anglican, Methodist, Presbyterian, all of these different schools. These are your educators. We don't need that. We need to be educated in hard science. We need to understand nuclear. We need to understand real economics. Understand how money works. Right. So you don't go out there and make a decision to go to the IMF, reserve banking system. We need to understand all of these different things so we don't fall into traps. Okay. This is so much that we can talk about.
Absolutely. We are running out of time.
Yes.
And Yeli, I would want to come back to you, and in picking your concluding remarks, there are millions who are watching you, not just in Ghana, but across the world. What would you say to those who are watching you and would want to also come to Ghana and probably get citizenship?
I would say to come with an open heart, come with an open mind. Don't bring, your European kind of mindset from the U.S. You have to come willing to change and willing to become African. Because in some ways we have not been that way. So I say, Ghana is a very peaceful country, friendly. There's a lot of opportunity in terms of business to be able to move forward here. And to take advantage of that and to bring your full self, and come willing to build. Think about the skills that you already have, the resources that you already have access to, and how you can bring that and bring your purpose work to the continent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. In picking your concluding remarks, you talked about technology, and I'm sure you see what our boys and girls are doing on TikTok. For instance, definitely this is not what we need to rewrite the history. No. What would be your advice? I mean, based on what you have seen in the country. I'm
glad you said that, because most people don't understand how social media hijacks the mind. Right. And then it teaches us how to act, what to do day by day. So if you go right now, they tell you that, and TikTok is real big in Ghana, and between that and WhatsApp, you have those social media platforms which are telling us what to do. And Snapchat. Right. So when you go to these sites, you'll see most of the Ghanaians are dancing. And then if that don't work, now they dancing with less clothes. Now that isn't working. Now they dancing almost naked. So these are all things that I tell people, don't aspire to be an influencer. Aspire to be a leader. We have to have purpose over popularity, and we don't have enough of that. We have to sit down and we have to put these things down because they hijack our mind. If you watch it, the purpose of a reel, the way it works, once you start strolling, it doesn't give you what you need. It gives you what they want you to have. And it's subtle implants that are changing our behavior. Next thing you know, you're rolling your hip. Now you're dancing on social media. You're looking for likes. We shouldn't be looking for likes. We should be looking for sustainability. Sustainability to the point that even if the stock market crash, it don't affect us.
Absolutely.
Because we still got food. We sat down and we did the necessary things for farming, where we have food, we have water, we have transportation, we have our own refineries, we have clean energy, renewable energy, we have arable land. We doing the things that are foundational for a nation to thrive. So we got to get away from trying to be an influencer and trying to be popular and get back to being leaders and being purposeful and put those things down, because they're hijacking our mind and taking us away from the real issues.
Thank you you so much for joining me in the studio tonight. So I mean, I have been a TV host for like 5 years. These two people are some of the most intelligent people that I have ever interviewed, and I'm so happy that you made it tonight.
Thank
Grateful. Yeli Eni Sonsori and Kweku Asantu Maroon tonight on News Tonight, talking about, Ghanaian citizenship, Africans in the diaspora, and how they can contribute to the development of the continent. We'll be back shortly. To stay.